God knows how many stair steps I climbed to get to this place, but I can promise you that the views are worth it. Recently I've played my first ever private game, and then a few days later I played another private game. And I want to share the experience I had in these private games that I've been in. Basically, it's pretty crazy, so let's start from the first game, because this was the one that is like the most normal. I got into it by a friend of a friend who was playing in that game, and my friend invited me to go there with him. And you know, as my friend was coming with me, I felt like more comfortable. And I knew the hosts, I knew the dealers. Hola! ¿Qué tal? Some guys working on the roof just giving me a shout out. So I knew the hosts, I knew the dealer, I knew some players, so I really felt like comfortable being in the game. The drinks are free, the food is free, the environment is pretty chill. Of course, when you're going to a private game, you need to make sure that you know the people that are gonna be there, or at least you trust the host and the game integrity, because this is the main thing you need to worry about. You know, you're gonna be bringing, you know, relatively a large amount of money with you to come and, you know, play the game, so you need to make sure that your money is in safe hands and that the game integrity is guaranteed. So the first game was pretty chill. I went with my friend, we went to some place. It's a big nice place with like a poker table, and there's like food, snacks, free drinks, alcoholic, normal ones, whatever you want. There was like a hookah, there was a bunch of smokes for free. Yeah, basically the environment was made perfect for like relaxing and like having a nice game. So I was enjoying my time. Although I saw some people that I knew before that were playing there, that were like playing all right, not doing crazy stuff. In the end, the later the night came, the more players joined the game, and that's where the game got a little bit more crazy. But it still was like in the means like of a normal game, and it had a huge pot there which I lost unfortunately, but still ended up with a profit from that game. It was a very nice experience, and I will definitely join it later on. But after this first private game experience, I got really excited. I thought like, damn, you know, this new world of private games just opened up, and we can also admire the view here in the background. And yeah, like this new world of poker private games like opened up for me, and I thought like, hey, there's like lots of money flowing around, and you know, like the second economy that nobody sees, and I thought capitalizing on it a little bit more. Hence I quickly started to search for other private games running, and I knew there was this other private game running where you can smoke at the table. Well, I don't smoke, but I thought I'm gonna join the game either way, because I just wanted to try out how does it feel like, how does it look like to be like in another private game. So yeah, this case was totally different. I didn't know anybody. Like, I came there with my friend. He was the only person that I knew there, and this made me feel at least more comfortable to try it out. We didn't bring a lot of money, just to, you know, make sure that for the first time when we go to this new game that we, you know, protect ourselves a little bit. And yeah, we just started out playing, and there was this crazy whale that was giving like crazy action, and I instantly thought like, this is the best decision that I ever made. You know, this is the games that I was like searching for like forever. You know, this is the games you should be like spending your time playing with, because in live poker you play so few hands per hour that it is really important to like choose the right games, the soft games, because well, you cannot multi-table, so you can get like really good at poker, so you could get like an edge on your opponents, or you can search for softer games. And you know, even becoming really good, if you play against other regulars, your edge is gonna be small, so you kind of need bad players at a table to like actually make some meaningful money in live poker. So yeah, the guy was giving crazy action and everything. I was quite happy to be there. But then slowly I started to notice a few things out of the ordinary. First of all, the dealer was taking rake in a really fast manner, so I tried to track in like a few bigger pots, like he took the rake correctly, but sometimes he just like splashes the chips and takes the rake in such a weird manner that it was hard to actually see if it's taking the rake correctly as it was, you know, declared by the host. Yeah, that was the first thing, but it was not bothering me too much because I saw that the rake from the bigger pots was taken correctly, so it gave me like more reassurance. The second sketchy thing was that my friend noticed is that some of the cards were marked, which means like they were like, you know, bent by a fingernail like in the middle of the card. Almost all the cards from 2 to 5 were bent in the middle. You know, I think this is how you can like mark cards. Basically, if you would mark like aces or kings in the deck, someone would notice pretty quickly. But when somebody marks a 5, a 4, a 3, a deuce, it doesn't raise like instant suspicion. However, if like some player is like bluffing at you and you can see like there's like a bent card, you know it's like a 5, 4, 3 or 2, you cannot have like a big pocket pair or like an ace king or ace queen or like all of these big Broadway combos. Well, you can have an edge on him like that. So we were looking at the cards like suspiciously with my friend, and the host noticed that we were like looking at the cards, you know, trying to like inspect them more or less. And suddenly they changed the deck. They brought another deck of freshly brand new cards. They didn't have any marks on them. They were like perfectly fine. And we continue on playing the rest of the game with this brand new deck of cards. So although it was a little bit sketchy when they replaced the deck, the new deck seemed to be alright. But yeah, the trust level was not super high. It kind of was always like on the edge, like looking around, trying to make sure that the game integrity is being, you know, always intact. And the host's friend was also playing at a table, which was kind of weird. You know, they were kind of friends, they were kind of both hosting the game. The other guy that was not playing was kind of the real host. He was like, you know, standing, looking at the game, you know, bringing people drinks, giving you chips for the money, doing buy-ins and cash outs and all of this stuff. However, the friend that was playing at a table was also doing buy-ins and cash outs, and he like changed chips for like other players. He was involved with, you know, the manipulation of the chips that were in play. Sometimes I noticed how he like asks for like an add-on for like some chips, and the host like just give him some chips, but he doesn't give him the money, which I found kind of weird. Maybe they like pay him like afterwards or whatever, because you have to make sure like there's enough money in the prize pool like to pay out the cash outs. I think what I've realized what was happening is that there was like this big whale that was playing at the table, and I would assume that this big whale comes to play there like regularly. The host's friend was kind of playing together on the table. He had position on the big whale. He was sitting on his left. He would kind of always like add on to match the stack of the whale, so he could always tag him. I never heard people having trouble with cash outs. He paid like everybody. He paid me everything. He paid my friend everything. There was like no problem with that. Everybody I know, he pays them, but I think they just do like this stuff. They know they kind of gonna end up in profit against this whale, so they kind of always like add on some chips to like cover him, so that they could, you know, kind of always like stack him when there's like a chance. So all of these kind of things were like not really inspiring like a lot of trust in that game. Also, there was like some smoking at the table, consumption of drugs, alcohol is kind of standard. It wasn't like the most pleasant environment to be around in. We played like a few orbits of Hold'em, then an orbit of PLO. We were kind of forced to play some PLO in the meantime, although, you know, I play Hold'em as my professional game. Although like I know some PLO, but I was not comfortable like playing PLO for like huge straddle pots, you know, it was just forcing action like against my will, you could say. I'm losing my breath a little bit climbing this hill, but I'm gonna try to make the best to make this talk. So yeah, the game experience was just like a little bit like off the rails, and I realized like quickly that, you know, this world of private games is great as long as you actually do your research and you know like the host a little bit and make sure you don't get like into trouble. So although playing these kind of games can be like really profitable, you have to make sure like you protect yourself in these kind of environments, that you know the hosts, that you know the dealer, maybe you saw him before somewhere else. You know, they're like not colluding with other players or something. There's a lot of things to be aware of while you're playing a private game. That's why when I'm playing in an audited like casino, you feel like way more relaxed, because you know that the casino is providing like the integrity, and you can feel more relaxed in the meantime. You're gonna know you're gonna get paid out all the time. You know, there's no cheating involved. If you see a marked card, you can always ask to change the deck. Even though the private games can always attract like some big gamblers and some big whales, it still made me think twice, is it worth to chase the people around in this underground world? Because, well, it can be dangerous sometimes. So there you go. I'd say the pros of playing in a private game are, first of all, the field is way softer. You get some gamblers, players get to relax more, they get to drink, they get to smoke, they gamble more in the meantime, you know, the environment is like more happy, you can chat with people, you know, it's a more lively game, which means there's more money flowing around, hence more money to be made. The hard part is to get into those games, but if you're like sociable enough, if you like talking to people, you can always like get yourself a seat into those private games. The other thing is that of course you get free food, you get free drinks, which is pretty nice, you know, while you're playing in a casino. You could end up like spending quite some money on food if you're playing for a long time. So now this is a pro in a private game, because you don't need to spend that money on food. Day after day, week after week, month after month, this money adds up to have a little bit of savings for your bankroll, which is important, especially if you play like lower stakes. Now let's talk about the biggest cons of private games. First, you have to make sure that the game integrity is not being broken. You can never really kind of have this level of trust that you have in a casino or in a card house. You have to really like watch with your eyes everything and like be always on the edge, which can feel a little bit exhausting sometimes. The other con is that usually the games only start to run late at night. So let's say if the game starts running at 8 or 9, you're kind of forced to play through the night to get some hours into this private game and have some kind of meaningful volume. Another thing is that you are walking with a lot of cash through the town. You know, you're walking with all of this cash or driving to get to this private game. You're traveling the city, and you know, Barcelona is not the most safest city on the planet. There's plenty of pickpocketers, robbers, so you have to make sure that while you're traveling with that money, that you're keeping it safe, that you're not gonna get robbed, not gonna get pickpocketed in the metro or something. So you have to really like take care about that. And a final thing is the environment. You know, sometimes you could get people that are doing drugs, that are like tilting, raging after they lose a hand, and it might not be the most, you know, comfortable environment to be around. It's kind of like sometimes feel like a little show that everybody does for like the big whales that come to play these games. Because at the end, these games run just because of the big whales that are participating in them. I was walking uphill for the past, I don't know, 10 minutes or so it got kind of exhausting. Yeah, this was like kind of my experience that I had. At first I got really excited to enter into this underground world of poker. However, after my second game in a more unfamiliar environment and a more sketchy game, I realized the reason why people actually go to play in audited places with their money to gamble. If you're searching for ways to get into a private game, I'd always recommend to talk to people, you know, try to interact with people that you play in your local card house. Yeah, this pretty hill that I walked like a million steps to get to is my final destination. And I'll catch you up guys next time. See you.